guys, welcome back. It's L.L.C Customs. Today I want to go over how to select the sub enclosure, how to make sure your subwoofer fits in that enclosure, how to get an amplifier that matches your subwoofer, how to get a harness that will work with your amplifier, whether you're doing just the subwoofer or a 4-channel. To start off the video, we're going to go off just doing subwoofer installations, and then I will make another video about 4-channel installations using the loopback harness, or multiple channel installations using the loopback harness. For this video, we're going to stick strictly to the subwoofers, and so we're going to be using a T-harness, and I'm going to go over when you need an L.L.C and when you can use the high level on the amplifier that you're using. So let's go ahead and get started. Here today on our website, I'm going to take you over the few ways that you can get to the T-harness, the loop harness, which are both a version of our Elite harness. So without further ado, let's jump into this. So to get started, we're at the home page of L.L.C Customs. You can find the Elite system under our products. And here you can see the different vehicles that we make harnesses for. If you're familiar with the T-harness or the loop harness, you can shop under shop by product type. We have it here, factory system integration harnesses. You can select the T-harness or the loop harness. And there will be some harnesses that we are currently offering just in the T-harness that we're not offering in the Elite system. The Elite system is a system that lets you switch between loop and T-harness by simply changing out the accessory. So there's a video on that on YouTube if you guys want more information on that. I would suggest heading over to our YouTube channel, or you can come over to our Elite system and watch the video here. So without further ado, let's start talking about how to select our subwoofer, what subwoofer enclosure we need, how to match our amplifier, and how to get further into that. So let's bring up the most important part, which is going to be the subwoofer itself. Anytime you're doing an install, doesn't matter whether you're doing door speakers, you're doing dash, you're just figuring out whether you're going to do components or an active system, or you're just selecting a subwoofer, you always want to start with the speaker. Once you get an idea of about how much boom boom you want, you can start hunting down speakers based on videos or other people's opinions or what you've heard and personally. For this video, or for the instance of this video, I'm gonna lay out what we use for our Rattler kits, for our single subwoofer Rattler kit, and it's gonna be the 10-inch setup today. So things to look for in your subwoofer. We're gonna want to find a company, obviously, that gives us a good list of specs. We need to see that it's 40 hertz, and that's important because when you're setting your gains and you're using your test tone, you have a basis to go on, and then you have a series of information that you should be able to match with on your end once your installation is done. So 40 hertz, 300 watts RMS. This is continuous power. This is what the subwoofer will continue to play. Max numbers or peak numbers are numbers that companies usually use to get sales. That's only what the subwoofer can do in an instance and not a prolonged period of time. The other thing that we need to know is, your depth. So if you have a really tight spot, you want to know, how deep your subwoofer goes. In this case, it goes 3.5. It's a pretty thin subwoofer. It's a shallow mount. So you're probably going to have 3.5 from the bottom of this slip down to the base of the magnet. And I think that's about all the really useful information, other than, the power wire that you're going to want to use. So 10-inch subwoofer, 300 watts RMS, 40 hertz test tone. For a sealed box, you're going to want to look here. If you're doing a vented box, you're going to want to look here. So when we go matching our subwoofer box, we're going to want it to be within these specs. So we're here at Ground Shaker. They make great boxes. We've been using and selling their products for years, long before we were L.L.C Customs. And so this is definitely a great option for you. The issue with this box, though, for a single 10, this is for the Silverado Sierra's crew cabs 1418, which is what this example is going to be, is that it's 0.84. Now, as the subwoofer was asking for 0.5, in this situation, if the box isn't custom and the box doesn't directly fit exactly what it is you're doing, you have the options of using sound skins. We have sound skins that we use here in the shop to lay out the inside of the box, and then if that doesn't occupy enough volume, we'll use a high density polyfill. That's something you can get at a hobby shop, some you can get on Amazon. You can get most anything on Amazon. If you guys are looking for sound skins, find a local shop, or you can get it from our website. That is something that we are currently working on, is extending our line of products that we offer. So check that out. As far as what we need now for the box, that's pretty much it. The box will hold the subwoofer. You'll solder your leads, I hope so, on the back end here so that you can connect your amplifier. And now this information is done and over with, and what we want to know is how much power we need and at what ohm load we're going to wire this to, right? So right now we have dual voice coil 2 ohm and dual voice coil 4 ohm. A good rule to remember, and this doesn't always apply, so make sure you're paying attention to how many subwoofers you have, your box layout, what kind of box you have, and what exactly is that you're doing. So a good rule to remember is the ohm load. If you have multiple subwoofers, depending on whether you're wiring them in series or parallel, your ohm load is either going to double up. So a dual voice coil can be wired to a 4 ohm or a 1 ohm. A dual 4 can be wired down to 2 ohms or can be wired up to 8 ohms, okay? And we'll see that when we click on these wiring wizards, which is why I love Rockford stuff. They have these really neat little wiring wizards that just help you out with what you're doing. You know, here you're doing 3 subs, here you're doing 4 subs. So it's kind of neat to have that. Again, so the dual 2 will do 1 ohm. The dual 2 will do 4 ohm. So we want to do the dual 4. In the instance, why we want to do the dual 4 is because the amplifier that we're going to be using is 300 watts at 2 ohm. So now you're asking, but this is 4 ohm, correct? So a good rule to keep in mind is that the ohm load, when you're dealing with dual voice coil speakers, the speaker can either be wired to twice its ohm load or cut in half. So this speaker, when we look at the wiring wizard, we can either wire it negative to negative to negative, positive to positive to positive and get 2 ohms, or we can do negative to positive and then go out negative positive and we're at 8 ohms. For this situation, this is the layout we're going to want. So now that we know how our speaker is going to be wired into our amplifier and we know what box we're going to be using it in, now we just need to go verify that the amp we want is going to work with it. For this instance, I selected the ACM1300, and I've selected this amplifier for a few of the features that it offers. A, it's got GTO turn on and it takes high level speaker leads in, which means that I don't need a processor to go to a low level. I can go straight in from our harness or straight in from the speaker wires if that's what you choose to do from your vehicle, and you're going to feed it the signal. It's going to use the GTO to turn the amplifier on. Outside of adding your 12 volt from your battery and your ground, you're pretty much good to go. This lead goes out to your subwoofer box and you're all hooked up. The amplifier is extremely small. It's no bigger than a Node 20. It's about, I'd say, 1.25 inches up. We do have specs for it here that I can show you. So right here. So it's 9 and almost 1/2 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 1 3/4 inches tall. So pretty small amplifier. And as you can see up here, 300 watts at 2 ohms. And that's what we were talking about with the ohm load on that subwoofer. And that will be the idea for any configuration that you're doing, whether you're doing multiple subs, or you're doing 1 sub, or you're doing door speakers, or you're using a crossover, a component set. You have to remember that the speakers are going to total out an ohm load, and you have to make sure that the amplifier, that channel that you're going to power that with, is compatible to the total, power that you need, and to the ohm load, most importantly, that you're going to be running them at. We can also see that the amplifier will play anything from 10 hertz, which is well below the 40 hertz that sub is set for, all the way up to 22 kilohertz. So extremely important information to know, because we want to make sure that we're buying equipment that works with itself. We don't want to buy a bunch of things and then get it in a box and then put it together and then try to figure it out. We want to make sure that when we build our systems, they're going to work from the ground up. So with all this information, we know the box that we need. Okay, we know the subwoofer that we're going to use. We know the amplifier that we want. So now the question becomes, what harness do you need? So on the 2014 to 2018 vehicles, for just the subwoofer, you're going to go here, you're going to select your T-harness. Depending on if you're going to put that amplifier behind the glove box or if you're going to put that amplifier on the box itself with the speaker, which is what we do for the Radler kits, just because it gives us the ability to disconnect things and take that box out in case you're going to go fishing or you got work to do, you got to put some tools under the seat, whatever it might be. It's always a good idea to mount the equipment next to each other, and that's why we offer these extensions for the T-harnesses. So at this point, all you would need is your T-harness. I'm going to mount this in the back seat. I know that that's going to be 20 feet or so, so I'm going to select the 20-foot option. And then I do want to put wire ferrules on it just because I want it to go into the amp nice and neat. So I'm going to select I have my own because let's say you bought this amplifier on your own and now you have the wire ferrules option. Now if you had an amplifier, now say you're going to run one of these Power 1500 watt from Rockford, and these amplifiers will only take a low level signal, right? So if you come down here, you look at your signal input, RCA, and then you look at your input sensitivity, 150 millivolts to 5 volts, right? So at this point, you need a unit that is going to give you the low level so that you can go in through the RCAs. So at this point, we'd be looking at something like here. So you have your input, so you have your left and your right, and then you have your left and your right up here. So you have to come in RCA, and then obviously you're gonna need your battery and then your remote. So in that instance, what we would recommend doing is you're gonna wanna add a bass restore, right? If you're gonna be doing a $1,000 amplifier, you want to make sure you're getting the best bass response and that you have the best possible frequency and signal to work with. So the bass restore will do that. The bass restore is basically a DSP for subwoofer frequency ranges. It'll let you bring back anything that's missing, and it'll let you add on to anything that's missing, or it'll let you just add on to anything that's existing. And it outputs up to 10 volts. So once we set the gain, we'll put a voltmeter on it, we'll play 40 hertz from the head unit, and we'll make sure that our gain doesn't go above those 5 volts that this amplifier is asking for. And so what you now would create is you would come here to the harness, and instead of selecting I have my own, you would select 2-channel or subwoofer units, and you have a series of units including the bass restore. You now have a harness with your 20-foot lead that's going to go to your bass restore, and you would then add, maybe you already have RCAs or you like another brand. We offer our Shockwire brand here. We have a 1-foot RCA that would then connect over to the amplifier, and then the amplifier would go out to the subwoofers. In this instance, you'd be probably using 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 subwoofers with the output capability of this amplifier being 1,000 watts at 4 ohm or 1,500 watts at 1 ohm, in which case you could go back and look at subwoofers that we were looking at earlier, and you could even see in that wiring diagram said, obviously you're doing shallows, maybe this is on the bottom of that back C. You could go to 2 ohm or 4 ohm, what have you in this situation, and you could look at the wiring diagram and say, okay, I have 1,500 watts at 1 ohm. Each one of these is 300, so you can say 300 and 300 is 6, and 6 is 12. So you come down here and say, okay, I can do 4. So you've got 4 here. That'll do a half ohm, and then you got right here at 2 ohm. So you can do 4 of these at 2 ohm. You really only need 1,200 watts. So if we go back to the amplifier, let's see what it says it'll give us at 2 ohm. So here it is. So it looks like at 2 ohm it'll give us those 1,500 watts. These amps are underrated, so this will be more probably like 1,600. So again, great option, great solution. You could do 4. You could run 4 of those monsters on, and if you can get a box in there that'll have the airspace, which you can, to run those, then you most definitely can run them with this amp, and that would be how you set it up. If you have an amplifier that will take in the high level, so say you didn't want to use that Rockford, you don't want to buy the extra unit, you could always go with something like an L.L.C 1500, which is going to give you that good amount of juice that you need you're going to be looking at 1500 watts RMS again. So again, this is one of those situations where it might be worth it to, to obviously even buy this. Again, this is why I love audio control, to buy, a cheaper amplifier. And why cheaper, I mean price wise, because the internals in here are, A1 state of the art. So when it comes to purchasing, it's about purchasing smart, right? So if you don't have an amplifier, I mean, if you already have the Rockford, you're going to be stuck buying a unit to process into it. But if you don't have the amplifier and you're just getting into it, you do have the option of running one of these amplifiers that's $100 cheaper, that takes a high level signal, that has the AccuBase built into it, and so you can connect this directly to the harness and you're done. And that's why when you go to our website, you have the option also to do a subwoofer amplifier, right? So you can get your harness, your length, and get a subwoofer amplifier that takes a high level. So whether it's an L.C 1800 or a 1500, you have the ability to buy your full system here. And that's why we offer select amplifiers that work with our harnesses, because they are the best option out on the market. Some people will buy JL because they like the brand. I think JL subs are unbeatable. So if you're going to buy something from JL, I definitely would say do the subs at bare minimum. But again, the amps are a little pricey for what they give you. So it depends on what you want to do. It depends on your budget. Take a look at it, do the math, do the layout. This is what the website's here. It gives you a little bit of information. And of course, if you guys have questions or concerns, let me show you here kind of what it looks like when you guys purchase things from us. You get it all wired up for you. We will throw the wire ferrules in there. Obviously, if you're buying a unit that needs them, it's not something that you have to select, but it is an option that we offer if you're not buying a unit from us, whether you're going into a DSP and it takes high level through the RCAs, or it takes a high level through a Phoenix connector like WaveTech and Audio Control do. But we wire everything for you. So we wire it, we make sure that it's going to work. We do have the chat. If you guys have questions, concerns, we have the chat here. And that's always one way to contact us. You can always shoot us a text message also. Down here we have our phone number. Or you can visit our contact us page and send us an email through the contact us page or directly to support, whichever way is best for you guys. We try to get back to you with 48 hours to 72 hours. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, so just be patient with us. We will get back to you if you do have questions. Other than that, have a good day and take care.